Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So some interesting news to unpick today. Gala Games and Polyant Games have done a deal and they claim they are shattering the record with a $800,000 NFT sale. So kind of agree with that, kind of don't agree with that. But before we get into that sort of stuff, let's go through the details. So Gala Games been around certainly for most of 2020. We've been aware of them. They have they've had a game out that's kind of guessing like open beta, like a town sort of building game. Interesting about Gala Games is that their chief creative guy there used to work at Zynga and worked on the Farmville 2, I think he worked on. So there's some pedigree there in terms of the game development stuff, and the first game they got out, which the name escapes me, is very similar to a Farmville game, to be honest. But I think that seems to be like a kind of prototypey sort of, not a prototype, no. That seems to be a kind of the first game, debut game to kind of get them up and running, and then they have this other game called Mirandus. Why do all these games have silly names that you can't pronounce? Mirandus is their new game, and this is seems much more ambitious and much more kind of serious, and this is what we're talking about for this investment. So this is like an MMORPG, although I don't quite know what these terms mean anymore, because I guess all blockchain games are persistent online games. Anyway, this game is being developed, and Polyant Games, who have been knocking around again for a couple of years. They're a blockchain crypto investor, and then they have this particular kind of arm division called focusing on games. And they've done a few investments. They invested, I guess we first came to notice them, they invested in Neon District developer Blockade Games. And they've done a lot of kind of partnerships, which may involve also token purchases. So they have, if you look at their website, they have a whole bunch of games like Axie Infinity and Sandbox, usual sort of suspects that they're involved with. And more interesting, though not particularly part of this deal, is they have this kind of ecosystem they're trying to build out, and I think they're trying to kind of build a kind of platform that links these games together. Wouldn't say I fully understand it. Hopefully I'll get a bit more into that in future. But these guys are pretty active, and they seem to have a reasonable chunk of change to kind of throw around. And actually, previous to this deal, Polyant actually bought $100,000 worth of the Gala token, which is the kind of underlying token that Gala Games are using for their game. So they do that kind of like, that was sort of an investment as well. Obviously they seem to have got on quite well. They seem to be happy with that, and they've put some more money in. So what they've bought is this thing called the Citadel of the Sun. I guess we see a representation of it there, and it is a one-off legendary tier NFT. So all these games tend to have different tiers of NFTs, and that is something to do with pricing. And there's only one of these in the game, and Polyant have bought that. So the reason I don't think the reason I disagree with this shatters the record. I mean, it does. This is the biggest NFT sale that I've seen. The biggest one up to this stage that I've seen, certainly in games, is $223,000, which was for a part of the Monaco Grand Prix track in F1 Delta Time. But that sale was an auction, so it was kind of like an open market, and anyone can get involved. This to me seems a bit different. This is basically an investment. An investment company wants to invest, and it's bought this thing. It's not it's not come to any kind of market. There's not been any market pricing mechanic where people have been able to bid for it. They just come in, and these companies between them have decided that's the price. And potentially, Polyant Games could have invested $1 million in, or $800,000 in Gala Games, and got some more tokens or got some equity or something. So this is kind of this is a big amount of money. Clearly, I'm not suggesting that's not the case, but the fact it's an NFT is I wouldn't really count that as a decentralized value of exchange. This is something a bit different. Anyway, so what's going on here? So what's actually more interesting, I think, is Polyant Games now becomes the chief financial layer within this Mirandus game, because the bank now, with this property, it allows people to store valuables. So it looks like you can wander around this world with stuff in your backpack, and if you have a building, you can store stuff in that building. but they're suggesting most people won't have access to that. So basic players are going to want to put rare stuff in a bank, and basically this will be what Polygon Games will do with this Citadel of the Sun NFT. The other reason that they've announced this now is they have got an NFT sale. Doesn't everyone? So there's going to be 10 majestic tier bank buildings, so not as valuable as the legendary ones, and they're going to be auctioned. So we get a better idea of pricing here. 10 of these, obviously they're not going to go for anything like as much as that. I would suggest there's 10 of them. You know, if they go, you would imagine they might be going for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars would be pretty impressive. Probably not if there's 10 of them, but who knows? Everyone's in a bit of a hype cycle at the moment with the price of cryptocurrencies. They're going to be auctioned either for ETH, the Gala token Gala, or Polygon Games Unity token, the PGU token. So those are the options. I mean, this comes out of the strategic deal that these guys have done to be kind of join themselves together a little bit. And obviously, I guess Polygon will hope to earn money from having this big NFT in the game. And Polygon have this other stuff going on. They have their own DEX, so they have their own exchange, which is currently up and running. Only has a certain number of tokens. Only really has the tokens from their partner games in there at the moment. Obviously, I guess they'll want to have that, make that bigger at the moment in future. So I guess this is more of a kind of a marketing sort of, ploy. I guess what we're interested to see, I guess, is what happens. How does this work with kind of Polygon and what they're trying to build a big ecosystem around NFTs and DeFi in games, and how does it actually impact Mirandus as a game, which I know very little about, I have to say. There's not really, I don't really know what the cycle for that is. I assume there will be something playable in 2021, but something to look into in more detail. I guess the headline stuff is people are prepared to hang big amounts of money on NFTs. So games with NFTs are going to enjoy that. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. This is Blockchain Gaming World. This is our daily slot where we whack through the news and try and keep abreast of what's going on. I think it's going to be a pretty busy start to 2021 if this is anything to go by. So please do subscribe if you want to keep abreast of the news. But thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.